In this video, I'm going to reveal all the nuances of how to set up a company in Hong Kong. Hi, my name is Rusudan. I'm a Chief Financial Officer here at Nomad Capitalist, where we help high net worth individuals legally reduce their tax, get second citizenships, and go where you're treated best. Hong Kong is one of the jurisdictions that we mention quite a lot, and it is for a reason, because Hong Kong has a very good reputation, and it has a very strong bank infrastructure and some of the longest running history of maintaining their trust and the stability in the country, and also the business friendly environment that they provide. And now, having said that, it means that everybody is attracted to Hong Kong, and the next logical question is, how can you set up a company there, and what steps you have to take? The first thing that you have to think about when you want to establish a company in Hong Kong is that you have to go through all the paperwork and get the approval from the designated authorities to make sure that the name that you want for the company is available. Once you have done that, you do have to complete a couple of extra forms and disclose all the information about all the shareholders and all the directors. And you also have to send the paperwork to Hong Kong and also get approval for that. Once everything is approved and the entity is established, you have to get the corporate secretary. So that's a person or a company that's going to provide the service. You have to then pay for that annually. And the corporate secretary is your representative on the ground. You also have to get a registered address, and that is something that sometimes corporate secretaries provide, because you do have to have a physical address in case somebody is sending you some letters or etc. So that's a mandatory thing. And once you get that, you do have to hang the letter confirming that the entity exists at that location. So basically your corporate secretary will have your information about your company in their physical location. Having established the company, you now have to maintain it. And because Hong Kong has an audit requirement, it means that you have to keep all your records. So every receipt, every invoice, everything needs to be kept in order. And you also have to maintain your books, because you do need to provide financial statements to your independent auditor. So that means that you need to hire an accountant and have them keep some kind of records. The overall length of getting the company set up may vary, and you also need to take into consideration the fact that after the company is set up, you do need to open a bank account, and in some cases it can take you anywhere between 2 to 8 weeks or even more than that. It really depends on the chosen bank that you have. Hong Kong does have good opportunities with banking, but it also means that because of the paperwork, most of the banks in Hong Kong require everything to be sent in original paper. So basically, if you're not there, you have to mail the paperwork every time you're making any kind of change, which can be a bit time and money consuming, but that's how it is set up at this moment. Now let's talk about the audit requirement and the general taxation. So for Hong Kong, you do have a corporate tax at 16.5%, but that is for the revenue derived from the Hong Kong clients. Hong Kong also has an offshore profit tax claim, where you can claim 0% tax on your offshore income. But for that, you had to comply with a couple of criteria. So first is that you cannot have any revenues from Hong Kong clients. Another is that your directors cannot be spending more than 60 days in Hong Kong. But from personal experience, I think that is generally advisable just not to be there at all. You cannot have any sales, as we said, in Hong Kong. And you cannot have your company maintaining any kind of physical office there. So if you want to have people there and hire them, have them work from the office, then you're going to lose your opportunity to claim the offshore profit tax at 0%. Now, as for the audit in Hong Kong companies, you do have to file the audit. As surprising as it is, Hong Kong doesn't have a set deadline for filing the audited accounting of audited financial statements, but it does say that you have to file them every year by the date of the company establishment. For example, if you open a company in Hong Kong on June 15th, it's desirable to file all the audited financial statements and the document to renew the company with that by June 15th next year. So that is something that they pay attention to. And so you do have to make sure that you start your audit on time, because based from my experience, it takes quite a lot of time to complete the process. Usually you have corporate secretaries helping you with that, but sometimes you have to push the auditors to be a bit fast. I do not know exactly why, but I feel like because of audit being mandatory, they maybe are quite overwhelmed. So it usually takes a lot more compared to some other countries that have worked with the auditors. So for example, for not a very big company and not a lot of turnover, the audit can take 3-5 months, and you do have to be engaged in that time. You do have to answer the questions, you do have to provide the documents. So it's not that you just give them the information and then you're done. You do have to keep in touch and make sure that they are informed and getting all the information that they need. And they also need to gather bank confirmation letters. And as easy as it sounds, if you are banking in jurisdictions outside of Hong Kong, you have to coordinate the letters to be delivered to the auditors in Hong Kong. And depending on the countries that you're banking, that can be a bit time consuming because you do have to make sure that it's delivered internationally. So not all banks have that. And if they do, you need to make a special request about that. So while Hong Kong is very attractive, it does have certain nuances that you have to pay attention to, and the audit requirement is one of those. Even though it can be managed, you do have to make sure that you have the audited financial statements, because your 0% offshore tax claim is based on that. So basically what you're doing is you're filing the audited financial statements where the independent auditor has to state that all your revenue is exempt from, is like in compliance with the criteria for offshore tax claim. And then based on that opinion, the tax authority grants you the 0% tax claim on offshore income, and you do not have to pay any tax on that. Now, if you do have some like onshore income in Hong Kong, you do have to pay tax on that. So that is also one reason to make sure that you keep very meticulous records and keep your books and accounting records. Establishing a Hong Kong company can be very beneficial for you, but it does require a bit more attention to detail and extra paperwork in regards to just starting the company, as well as to making sure that you are complying with the ongoing regulations and requirements, filing the audit, renewing the company, and keeping up with the maintenance fees. Having said that, establishing a Hong Kong company, we see, is quite complicated, and also the maintaining it requires lots of resources from you. So you do want to make sure that you are not breaking any law. That's why I would recommend Nomad Capitalists, because having a trusted partner who is going to solve your problems and pay attention to details instead of you can be quite time and money saving.